So, what's up, everyone? I got a cool little treat from the store today. It's a Cornish hen. And I'm very excited about because it wasn't completely frozen either. In fact, funny story, I was talking to the girl at checkout, and I said, I didn't get this. And it was on the edge of, at the end of the counter there at checkout. And she goes, yeah, some lady left it here earlier. I said, oh, okay. So she says, I don't know, they were supposed to put it away, but it's been out for a couple hours. I'm like, I felt it, it's still ice cold. And I'm like, what are you going to do with it? I said, it's like defrosted. She goes, well, we're probably going to have to throw it out. I said, well, that's a shame. How much you want for it? She goes, she just threw it in the bag after she spoke to the manager, and I got a Cornish hen. So, guess what my recipe is tonight for dinner? I'm doing a Cornish fucking hen. Hell yeah. So, I got everything kind of set up. I've been meaning to do this for a while. I just didn't feel like doing a Cornish hen, but hey, a free hen, I'll take it. So, I have some of my ingredients pretty much prepped, ready to go, because I figured, well, let me make a video of this for you guys, and I'll show you how to do my infamous Cornish hen recipe. Today I'll do these on a big tray. Each person that I would normally cater to, or each server, or whatever, would normally get their own hen. But I figured I'm just doing this small scale, so I don't have a big sheet pan or anything to put a bunch in. So I don't have a rack small enough to fit in this thing here. But I do have my oven preheated. It's on broil. And I make these little foil things if I don't have a rack small enough to fit in a pan, that I can just set it in once I'm ready for it, because I don't want it to be in contact with the bottom of the actual pan that I'm roasting it in. But what I'm doing is, now that's set up, I'm going to start with my herb mixture. And I have some butter that is now soft at room temperature, especially sitting so close to the oven. I'm just going to go ahead and use the fork for this part, because I want to get at least 1 tablespoon per in each bird. And I'm going to add some fresh rosemary, which I already pulled off the stalk, and some thyme, which I already pulled off the stems. And I saved the stems, and I'm going to get to that part next. So, get some rosemary in there. And I'm just going to take this. I was using a small measuring cup. Normally I use like a larger mixing bowl. So, I'm just going small scale. It's just 1 hen for me, myself. That's it. There we go. Alright, a little bit of parsley. I like to get all this herb stuff set up before I start doing anything with the bird yet. My little lady of the night now, my little Cornish hen, which I am very excited about. I'm a sucker for onion powder. I'm going to throw some of that in here. And I'm just going to get that kind of mashed up like that. There we go. I'm going to crack a little bit of pepper in there. And I'm using salted butter, so I don't want to go too heavy on the salt. Just a little pinch. That's it. Alright, so here we go. And our little butter herb mixture is all ready to go. I'd recommend taking the butter out ahead of time and letting it really get soft. And being so close to the stove with the oven heating, it's the perfect consistency right there. Oh yeah. Oh, that's it. Alright, and it's time to bring out our lady of the evening, my beautiful little Cornish hen. And I'm just going to go ahead and put my gloves on for this part. This part can get really messy, because we are going to be all over this little thing. And in fact, I'm going to take a piece of twine, because I heard she's really kinky and really into bondage. So I think, out of respect, to make sure we have a little piece of string on standby. All right, so going to put that right on top of my little foil rack. I'm going with her legs up in the air to start because it says no giblets. I'm just going to do a quick check just to make sure and open up that cavity just like that. It's pretty clean to me. All right. So I'm going to start by getting a little lemon in there and just one wedge. Just spread her legs and get it open and shove it in there. We have our thyme. Shove some of that in there. And some rosemary and some of the rest of the thyme stems. And we're just putting it all in there. And that is done. So, we're done with the inside. We have 2 wings. Double check for any feathers. This has a couple of them on there. We'll get rid of those. And typically I always like to check around wing area. There's another little feather part there. But for the most part, she's good to go. Okay, you little cute little thing. You are going to get roasted so awesomely. But I'm going to do a little surgery here. I'm going to start by taking my thumb underneath the skin gently and just trying to separate the skin from the meat, as you can see right here. And that's why I say gently. Don't rip the skin. Okay. We're going to get our finger down there. I'm going to go around down towards the leg, underneath the wing, just like that, right into underneath there, along the bone there. And we're going to repeat on the other side, leaving the center intact. And we're going to leave this kind of sealed intact the way it is. Now, this is the meatiest part right here. We're just going to take our fingers. We're going to take our butter herb mixture and just rub it in under the skin. Both sides, just like that. Get as much of it as you can in there. There we go. And this is also a technique that I've used on turkeys and roasting chickens. I just want as much of that seasoning under the skin as possible. I'm going to turn it over and go down the back side as well, where we separated the skin. Again, just taking it, opening it up, taking that, rubbing it in, collect the last of that. There we go. Right underneath, right inside. Now, what that's going to do is all that herb and seasoning and butter is going to get infused into the meat. And because I have the oven set on broil, it's going to crisp that skin up all around it. And I just like to take the rest of it. Just give it a nice little rub. Massage some of that butter on there. If she starts kicking, that's why we have the string. Because if she gets out of control, we're going to have to tie her down. So we're going to do that now. We're just going with a simple knot. We don't need any fancy knots for this. Typically, I will cross the legs, joint to joint, just like that. Slide the loop around her. Pull tight, just like that. And give it another knot over the top. And I'm just going to tie a little kind of slip knot here because she's going to get a little frisky in the oven. So make sure she's on the foil because we don't want her touching the bottom of the rack. And it's all good to go. We're going to take the remaining bit of our butter. A nice little rub down, just like that. And, oh, our wings are getting a little out of control here. They're not really staying. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but that's okay. We'll just make sure that they're not laying on the bottom of the pan, and we'll just let them flap around. And that's that. One more squeeze of lemon juice on the outside now, and we'll just leave that in the pan. I'm going to remove this mess of greasy gloves. A little bit of chicken stock, and off it goes into the broiler. And we'll reserve some of that for later. Alright, so we're going to have that on broil. It's going to get really hot. It's going to really crispen that skin up, only for about maybe 10 minutes. And then after 10 minutes, I'm going to reduce the heat to about 400, 375, and let it continue roasting and baking. I'm going to check on it. Eventually, I'm going to add a little meat thermometer in there so that once it reaches 165, it's going to be beautifully done and good to go. So we'll check back on this in just a little bit. All right, so I'm doing some cleanup here while we're waiting for this thing to get nice and roasty toasty. And I could smell the herbs starting to release that smell and the aroma of them. So I just checked, it is brown now, so I'm reducing the heat from broil down to about 350. We're going to ride it there for probably about an hour, and we'll check on it then. You can start at 45-minute increments. It doesn't really take that long, but especially since it's pretty much at room temperature and totally defrosted. But hey, I have a meat thermometer I can probably shove in the little girl, but you know, I don't know. She's been through a lot. All right, so we've got about an hour and a half on this little tiny little hen in there, and it is pretty much done. I checked it with a thermometer. I have a little thermometer here that I just checked it with a little while ago while I was doing some cleanup. And we're going to take this thing out of the oven because it is done. And the coloring is absolutely perfect as well. So take a look at that thing. Look at that. Nice little Cornish hen. And I'm going to get a set of tongs. We're going to get this thing on a plate. It's perfectly done. Look at that. Now, when handling it, I always like to pick it up by the legs where it's trussed with a pair of tongs like this, because I want to make sure that I don't ruin the integrity of the skin or any of the finishing on it. And I carefully get it onto the plate the way I want it. And typically when I'm serving this, I will also take the string off its little legs over here. I will remove anything that is sticking out of it, and I try to preserve as much on the inside as possible. So that's just the way that I like to plate it. And we have our Cornish hen. And there it is. So there's our Cornish hen, and this one's going to be in my cookbook as well. I can't wait for it to come out. It's almost done. I'm very excited about. So make sure you check out my website, painfreakofficial.com, to figure out how to book me to cook for your party, your crazy, kinky, erotic, whatever party you want. Play with me, not your food. Check out my website, painfreakofficial.com. It's right there. It's been there since I said it the first time. And I'm going to go ahead and snap a little picture of this to put in my cookbook. And I'm going to eat now. So I'm very excited. Love you guys.